cool Ruins of Seras.
Which, if we saw game 1 Greenert, would be great. He loves his walls. He loves getting up this nice, strong turtle. It would work great on Ruins of Seras. But if we see game 2 Greenert, a.k.a. the Mad Blue Greenert, it is... He's red now. I don't know what to say. But a.k.a. that Mad Blue Greenert, maybe it won't work out so well. And he even said in chat, he's like, oh, I'm tilted. I'm angry. Ugh, just kind of, I need to be able to kill stuff. And I'm hoping we see a balance, because I love the I'm going to make a big wall, and I love that I'm going to 3-Rex Reaper you, but I don't know if it works on Ruins.
I think that, especially at cross spawns, the distances are going to be really far apart, and the cliffs aren't all that great for a Reaper on Ruins of Seras. So very likely and very hopefully we could see a nice long macro game on Ruins of Seras, especially with cross positions as a potential. Coming into it with the close air positions, more tomfoolery might be coming into play with Niduses and
tomfoolery
and things like that. Yes, Tom or Jack foolery, whichever you prefer. But in any case, speaking of tomfoolery, we have spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen the stealer of the green from the Greenert, softly mean. We've got the green Zerg, OldManSlum.
At Rhymedo. And his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner, the Red Terran player from Imperial? Imperative Gaming. It is Greenert. IGX just does not spell it out for me. I'm like, it's Imperative Gaming.
Yes.
XIG. I have the robot voice in my head telling me things.
And now we have an IGX. Now we're gonna have like a XX Master Race XX, and then more X's at the end and at the beginning, and maybe $signs at some point come in. And just
that
like
is when
expanding universe, right? Expanding ID, same idea. They just keep getting bigger.
That is when the not the YouTubers. That is when the Xbox players realize that PC is Master Race, and they start coming over. Then you see the XX $sign, like Killer
PC gamers
55.
know. We know that we're the best, and that's why people hate us. It's because like, well, you think you're the best, and then we correct them. It's like, sorry, the word you're looking for is no.
No, yes, the word you're looking for is no.
That's actually the word.
I have funny situations where people go, oh, you play Xbox or PS4? Like, actually, I play StarCraft. That's always my answer. Like, wait, they're like, wait, what?
Not even like I play PC games. Just like, no, actually, I play StarCraft. Like, is that like an Xbox?
Minecraft.
It takes about as much time to master StarCraft as it does to master Xbox. It's
every game on Xbox. Yeah.
It's equivalent. Yeah.
Greenert is playing it incredibly safe, Reaper fast, expand into a factory, and Greenert loves his walls. I'm excited to see once this man is in GM to look at his walls. He may be very well in GM. I think he's Masters at the moment. However, Greenert does love his walls. First Reaper is heading across the map. And Jack, what do we have for Mr. Slum?
Mr. Slum is going to defend with the 4-lings, keeping it nice and safe. 4-lings does seem a lovely number, like you were saying earlier. For scrubs like me, I make 6 because I just need that extra cushion of safety, but high-level players like these, they're like, all right, I can do 4. Nice zoning. Queens come out a nice time as well, and with this second Reaper popping in, as in the second coming of the Reaper, if the Reaper were to be a religious figure, this would be the second coming of the Reaper. He knows it's not a mass Reaper build, and as such, can continue to drone.
What I'd love to see is in a best of 3, after doing that 3x Reaper, the next game to make 2 Reapers. What? Oh, he's got to be careful. There is the defense, and he's out. He's going to have to wait a few seconds to have the combat drugs be implemented. But as I was saying, you know what would be really cool is just a mind game to send 2 Reapers out after you 3x Reaper. So the Zerg's not going to be careful, but 3 Lings will get us around, and they will be able to finish it off. Not quite enough micro on the Reaper with his staple gun would have never been able to kill that hatchery. 2 Lings heading. It's a staple gun. It looks like a staple gun.
It's perfect. Actually, I've heard pea shooters. I've heard a lot of things about the weapon of the Reaper, but staple gun is the best one I've heard by far. Gonna be using that for the rest of my adult life.
Well, Overlord's gonna go down actually supply blocking. Barely 44 out of 44 supply blocking.
Just on that supply block. We do have 3 Overlords on the way. Well, 1 was finishing up, 2 on the way, moving into that. So not too bad. And one of the good things about Zerg is that you keep that larva coming as long as it keeps going. The supply blocks don't hurt you quite as badly as the other races. So nice little bit of recovery.
You can start
here.
20 Overlords if you need to. Start 50 if you really want to. You just wait for that minerals to accumulate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even Stefano was known, even in his strongest periods of time, he would be building 6 to 8.
The Lings may be able to get us around this. This Cyclone has to be incredibly careful. Then it's going to be the full surround and go down. What I was going to say before I started talking about making 50 Overlords is I love the idea of sending the Cyclone out. Yet, if it gets surrounded, you just lost 150 gas, which is not... You lost it's a very expensive unit.
Oh!
Maybe this would have mine. Oh!
Pretty much all those Lings there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's happened to you ever, but it's the worst feel. It's just like, oh, Widow Mines! It's one of the worst feelings in the world, man, losing all those things to your Widow Mine there.
The not fun thing is when you see the little... when you anticipate it's there and you pull back, but you still pull back too late. You're like, oh, I'm so Gosu, I know it's there. And you lose everything. Something we have not seen that much, by the way, from Greenert is these harassments. He's getting out 2 Liberators this time. In Game 1, we saw almost 0 drops. Game 2, maybe you could call it a harass-heavy game, but there was no drops, and now Greenert is switching it up on these horizontal spawn positions. He may be able to liberate some things. And I like that. That's generally how TVZ goes, JaKaTaK, right? You try to harass your opponent as Terran.
Yeah, absolutely. Terran has always been a very harass-heavy race in general in this matchup. So always nice to see that tradition continue, that time-honored tradition of harassment here at StarCraft. Out of context, that sounds quite awful, but you know it's okay. This is the I think David Kim's has the one job where it's like, I'm trying to increase harassment is really what I'm trying to do as my job, you know, in the workplace. Just really try to increase the harassment. It's just not enough right now. Just none of the people I'm trying to influence here are harassing, and it's frustrating to me. Gotta love David Kim. But yeah, so nice little position here. Like you said, Greenert loving his walls, getting really turtly here, taking a long time to take this 3rd base. The first base is beginning to mine out. Right between the 7-minute and the 8-minute mark, depending on what race you are, is the time that you'll be starting to mine out. So even if he were to take his 3rd over here, which he's... there he goes. He's still going to be, for the most part, on like 2.5 base economy instead of a full 3.
Funny thing you mentioning him turtle. Yes, he's turtling, but it's not at all the normal Terran turtle. There's no siege tanks, no nothing. He's just, I have buildings that can burrow and unburrow. That is how cool I am. And they fly, by the way. They go through all areas of everything. Liberator is going to be the new tanky, whatever, turtley thing. Shut down that 3rd base. Yeah, shut down the 3rd base. The other side of the map for OldManSlum, just FYI, he took a 4th. +2 melee attacks on the way, roach speed. +2 Carapace, 36 Lings, a ton of Lings out of the map, a couple Roach Ravager. I like this composition. It's
as well, yeah.
It's a little bit like Gateway and adding a few sentries in. Those Ravagers are the new utility unit of Zerg, and you don't just need a couple Corrosive Biles here and there.
Yeah, a couple of Corrosive Biles can make a big swing. We do have the Infestation Pit coming out, so hopefully we get to see some of those. Ooh, just avoiding the Widow Mine that time. There we go. Widow Mine deactivated. Excellently done. There's still one more in the back to worry about, and nicely done here. Dropping those Corrosive Biles, being very slow and careful, but moving in here now.
Lings are flooding in, but with a lot of this bio, they're able to negate that. Both Widow Mines did go off. Liberators are going to liberate a little bit of something, but they're not going to do too well on the Lings. 3rd base, the actual damage being sustained is from these Roaches. Lings were basically a bit of that meat shield. A lot of Marines are actually in the main at the moment, and they can't figure out that there is a full wall in. Yeah, there's a full wall, and it's got something you realize. In 3rd base, all the SCVs killed. I think OldManSlum may retreat back off the back of this, yet he killed 11 workers. It is 60 drones to 45 SCVs, and actually going in 1 by 1, you do not want to meet grind into this Greenert. You do not want to go in 1 by 1.
Yeah, absolutely not. He's got his nice little pack of bio that's going to be able to push back for the rest of this, but that was a very successful attack for our Zerg player, putting him even more in the lead than he already was. Just big economic lead. He's got the supply lead as well. He's doing quite well with these Ravagers, and
the Liberator and Widow Mine aren't going to be in position this time. Lings, So close. Sorry, that Widowmine is so close to going off right there. But now that there's no Liberators, there's nothing really shutting down this third base. Lings are going to get some damage and maybe even be able to clean up all the rest of the SCVs. 8 more SCVs go down. Missile Turret is so close to dying. It's going to burn down. Greenert will be able to hold his third, but still this harassment has been good. OldManSlum didn't actually lose a ton right there in these attacks. They've just been first wave, second wave, pull out. And all in all, he's killed 20 workers.
A very aggressive creep spread there. Interesting. Trading economy for army here, or rather army for economy. He should be able to remax. The infestors are on the way, so the pathogen glands is not going to line up with them, so we'll have to wait for that. But he seems
Lings did a full surround with the corrosive bios, so close. Lings with the full surround and the corrosive bios going down does shut down that bio, and now we see Greenert have to retreat, not only losing economy, but then trading army for air. I don't know, not that much.
Yeah, really nice defense there. Really nice deflection by OldManSlum, keeping it alive. Nice little macro hatch here, by the way. Very interesting position for the macro hatch. Very far forward. The creep spread also is amazing. We're going to have these first 4 infestors come out. Overlord speed, more Lings as well. It's interesting because that Ling infestor play has been seeing a little bit of a resurgence in ZVP. It's really cool to see it here. Yeah. And keep in mind, we've got Ravagers and infestors out at the same time. We may see a bit of that lovely fungal corrosive bile combo that is so awesome to see.
Just by the way, this is pretty much the composition we saw in the very first game. However, OldManSlum in this game was not able to win with that composition, so we are seeing infestors being mixed in. A total of, how many infestors? 4 infestors, pathogen gland is done. It's going to be really potent, and now at the third base of Greenert, he does have Widowmines, he does have a lot of Marauders and Marines, yet I don't think he has enough. Taking 20 workers worth of damage, 71 drones to 56 SCVs. I just don't think he has enough economy to actually be able to withstand this attack and be able to withstand more waves.
Yeah, he's got almost no splash damage too. I'm a little bit afraid. A couple more Widowmines, I would be hopeful for him, but he's trying to tech the Ultralisks right now as well. That's going to be really tough to deal with. Oh man. And the flood of Lings is coming in.
So many Lings. 99 Lings, almost 100 Lings right here. But with Greenert spreading himself out, making himself in more of a line than a ball, he does manage to push back these Lings. By the way, as I was mentioning, there is those 3 bunkers if Greenert wants to fall back. A 4th base is on the way for Greenert in a very defendable top left-hand corner position. And honestly, for OldManSlum, I'd like to see him not be taking these defensive, I'm going to push you back now engagements. I want to see him right up into the face of Greenert, because the third base on Ruins of Ceres, you have, what, 5 or 6 ways to get in there? It's just a big open base, and he could easily, with how many Lings? Almost 100 Lings, just go for a gigantic, ginormous surround, especially when Greenert is not in his bunkers.
Greenert is at such a gigantic tech advantage. He is mining 1/4 the gas of his opponent right now. Had to float his command center, so that's part of it. But this is just the reason why we're seeing this such bio-heavy composition. He just doesn't have the gas.
Big Ling counterattack into this third base. All the bunkers are going down, and that is what Greenert was planning on. But the Fungals are great! Fungals are amazing. All the medevacs shut down except for 2. A lot of the bio, but there is a lot of Marauders here. So we have to see OldManSlum be very, very careful. We're going to see Greenert get on here, but the corrosive bios are good and take out another medevac. Once again, Greenert has been thwarted, but this time he's lost his third base. He does have that 4th base position. 4 Ultras are on the way. And JaKaTaK, I'm not sure how Greenert can do it. He's got to do something amazing to be able to pull this out of the bag.
Oh man, Chitin is plating 3 Ultras on the way. If you're gonna end the game, that's how you do it. It is absolutely beautiful. Gonna go ahead and knock out that bunker and is gonna head push forward over here. The Ultralisk is not fully upgraded just yet, but 6-2 is enough. He's going to push and push and push. We've got 26 Lings on the way.
126 army supply of OldManSlum to the 54 of Greenert, and he just keeps getting fungal. This is a beautiful composition for OldManSlum. Greenert is desperately trying to get a chokehold position, or at least a position where there is a choke point he can shoot down on, but the Ultras, you cannot touch 2-6 Ultras. They just annihilate everything, and he's got this 1/4 base. He's trying to bank off of JaKaTaK, but I don't think it's be it. OldManSlum, he is close to victory. He's feeling it's 1-1, and this would be victory for him in this match to move on to the next round.
Absolutely. The Lings just keep flooding in here. Totally insane. Just pushing through. Greenert holding on for his dearest dear life. Just sort of accepting the fact, letting the loss sink in, and GG!
Wait, what did he say in the last seconds? I'm going to become a pro at Star Fox instead. Greenert.
Oh, that's salt. The salt. The The sad, salty tears are streaming down his face at the moment.
Indeed. Let's think about that for 1 second, because number one, as I pointed out, OldManSlum, that was the composition he went for in game 1, but in this game 3 was not quite able to push with that. There was no accidental, my wall, you can get in, and Greenert wasn't quite as far out, but as I was mentioning with OldManSlum, I think purely JaKaTaK, he just had the economy. And we mentioned that many times. You mentioned that with the gas of OldManSlum compared to Greenert. The economy was just so much better for OldManSlum in that position on Ruins of Saracen. Maybe even chalk it up to the map. It's hard for Terran to take a fourth.
Kept denying that third base, too. A lot of workers killed at the third base, forced lift. He actually killed the third base 1 time or 2 times. It was just...
Once. Got it once.
Once. He could never really keep staying up in that 3-base economy, and especially that last move. He had to lift from the main and move over. So he gets... 1 base of gas at that point in time he had, because he wasn't taking his gas at his third. So the only gas that he had was at his natural. So he was like, well, what can I do? I guess I'll build bio units. And he didn't have Widow Mines for splash damage. He didn't have any more Liberators. They got killed off in those pushes. And, it was all downhill from there. Really great sort of base prevention play from OldManSlum there.
Also, a big thing just to note, JaKaTaK mentioned this while we were casting, is when we saw the third base of Greenert, it was already when his main base was mining out. And JaKaTaK, I know you know these numbers. When does that main base start to mine out? And when do us as players have to start realizing, okay, I got to take a third base before this mines out so I can actually have a semi-3-base econ?
Yeah, so for Protoss, generally speaking, for Protoss and Zerg, it's going to be somewhere closer to 8 minutes. But for Terrans, because of the mules, it's usually a little bit closer to 7. It's also useful information when you're looking at your opponent, paying that base prevention, and thinking, okay, it's about 7 minutes. I'm dealing with a Terran here. He's basically on 1.5 base economy because I'm stopping the third. So just knowing that can be really beneficial. And it's a big change. It really speeds up the whole game of StarCraft in general here.
It does, and that's one of the timings you guys need to pay attention to. As he said, you can go in for one of those attacks. The thing I always hated is, I'm trying to remember, I think the very first game I played, I didn't quite realize that I was mining out, and so I'm like on a 4th base, and I go back to my main, and there's 24 workers, like, hey, we've been having a party for a while. Guys, we're going to go to a very short ad break. We just saw 2-1 OldManSlum versus Greenert. OldManSlum moves on, and I'm just going to take a look at the bracket and tell you guys where OldManSlum is in the round of 3. That is the, the 3rd round, but that is the round of 8. We have Sacrilege v Light, Lightning versus Billy, Hijacks versus Quickscope, and Building versus OldManSlum. One of those 4 matches will be coming up quite shortly. This is the RSL Weekly. Check us out at RSLSC2 on Twitter to keep up and play if you want. That's JaKaTaK, I am DrennoC, and we'll see you after this very short ad break.